here, for joining me for this free class, How to Declutter Your Brain. I'm so glad that you've joined us. Give us a little hello in the chat. Tell us where you're calling from. Let us know who you are. Really happy to have you all here. So today we are going to be talking about how to declutter your brain, right? How to offload the mental load so that you can do more, so that you can stress less, and do that without relying on willpower or motivation or your memory. And I know for me, big day, my kids just started school today, lots of stuff going on. And so maybe I need this as much as you do. Hello from Florida. I love that. Jasmine rhymes with Jasmine from Florida also. From Salem. Hi, Ashley. I also want to introduce you to Ashley. She's here from my team to help support us here. So if you have any questions or you're like, the sign isn't working for me or something like that, just let Ashley know and she can help. Hello from Salem, Oregon, from Perth, Australia. Oh my gosh, what time is it there? From Ohio, from Canada, from Illinois. I love this. I love seeing all of these people from so many places. From Hershey, Pennsylvania. Are you eating all the chocolate? In SoCal, awesome. So really excited to have you all here. We are going to get right into it right off the bat, because I know that you don't have a lot of time and we're going to make this super impactful. All right, so let's get going. So in this class, what are we here for? I am going to show you how you can offload the stressful mental load so that you can do more and stress less. And by the end of our time here together today, you're going to learn that it is possible to make a sustainable shift from being overwhelmed and constantly feeling behind to feeling completely in control of your time. And that you're able to do that without relying on willpower, motivation, memory, things that, I don't know, are fleeting at best, right? We don't always have access to those resources. So what I want you to do right now, because you have made this, this commitment to yourself to show up here, to learn something here today, is to turn off all of those distractions. There are emails, I'm sure, that you need to attend to. There are, maybe you have kids in the background that need some attention to. Don't ignore them. But if you can turn off the distractions, turn off the email, anything that may kind of prevent you from fully participating here today, that would be great. And this is maybe one of our first lessons, that the more we can single task instead of multitasking, the more we will get out of anything. It is hard, I know, but now is the time to turn all that stuff off so that you can really focus and get what you showed up here for today. Now, I also want to just say right in the beginning, I want you to stay with me until the end of this class. At the end of the class, I will be sharing a little bit about how to work with me if you decide that's something that you want to do. And if you decide that you want to work with me, I am offering a never before offered bonus, that I'm offering a free one-on-one coaching session with me if you decide that you want to work together after this class. So stay to the end, because this is literally the first time I've ever offered this in this context. And that's something you don't want to miss out on if you decide that you want to work together. But let's get into why you're here today, and this is our class. I want to get into it right away. And so I would love, Ashley, if you could drop into the handouts area, our handout for today. You should have received this over email as well. There's a workbook. Thank you so much, Ashley. You can download this. If you didn't grab it before, go ahead and click it right now. It's a fillable PDF, so you can just type directly into it. But we are going to do a brain dump. We're going to do an exercise here together, because this is one of the first steps that we can take to help to declutter our brains. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to grab a pen and a paper, or this workbook here, or your phone and your notes app, whatever you want, whatever's most comfortable for you. I want you to just grab something to write with in some capacity. And then what we're going to do for 5 minutes here together is I want you to write down everything that you can think of that is running through your brain. Everything you think you have to do, everything that you definitely have to do, everything you think you should be doing, all those open questions you don't have answers to, all those random thoughts about, things you might want to do in the future. I want you to just get as much of it out of your brain, stream of consciousness style. And you can do this for work stuff, for home stuff. Like, our brain doesn't care where we are, right? Our brain just is going through all the motions, right? So I want everyone to just get into the zone for a second, get into your own brain, and start writing things down. So you can use that workbook, you can use a pen and paper, you can use whatever works for you. I want you to not judge any of the thoughts that are coming into your brain. Just if you think of something you have to do, want to do, think you should do, write it down. I'm going to put 5 minutes on the clock. We're going to do this together, and then we're going to come back and we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about what worked and how that felt, etc. So I'm putting 5 minutes on the clock right now. I'm going to do this with you, and then we will come back and we'll talk about it. So on the count of three, 1, 2, 3, go. And let me know in the chat if you feel like you're ready. Janice, I see that you need the link to the workbook. Did you see it in the handouts up there? Ashley can help you out with that if you're not seeing it there. But let's do this. I'm putting 5 minutes on the clock right now. Give me a +1. Give me a thumbs up. Do you feel ready? Let's go. All right, I'm seeing a thumbs up. Thank you, Jasmine. Thank you, Julia. You see you're ready to go. Fantastic. Deborah, great. Love it. All right, let's get to it. And if you have any questions, of course, use the chat. Use the chat to ask a question, and I'm here for it. I want to answer everything that you got going on. All right. Perfect. I will let you know when we have just like a minute left of this, so don't worry about that. Just stream of consciousness, let it go. And if you've just joined us, don't worry about it. What we are doing is we are doing a brain dump. So you can grab a piece of paper, you can grab the workbook that's in the handouts or that was sent to you in advance. And what we're doing is we are just stream of consciousness, writing down every single thing we can think of that is going through our brain about things we have to do, need to do, feel like we should do, might want to do. Just start writing it down. No worries. You can join in right now. And if you have any questions, just let us know in the chat. We've got about 3 minutes left. And don't worry if you just feel like, oh, you're only scratching the very tip of the surface of what's going on in your brain. All right, and if you've just joined us, join right in. We are doing a brain dump. What we're doing is you can just grab a piece of paper or a pen or your phone, or you can click on the handouts that's sitting there. You can grab that workbook or the workbook that was sent to you in advance. No matter what, doesn't matter. Just grab something you can write with or type into. And what I want you to do is start just brain dumping out of your brain. All the things that are running through your brain right now that you have to do, think you have to do, might want to do, should do, could do, anything that's up here, we are getting it out. So just join in. If you've just joined, we are doing a brain dump. We have got about 1 minute left. So again, don't worry if you feel like you didn't get it all out. Most of us can't get it all out in 5 minutes, especially if this is one of the first times we're doing this. But this is something that you'll be able to use over and over again. So we got about 1 minute left of this exercise, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about it. And if you've just joined us, I see there's a couple more people joining. We are just finishing up a brain dump exercise. We've got about 1 minute left, but if you want to join in, I welcome you to do so. You can grab the workbook that's sitting in handouts over there or that was sent to you in advance, or just grab a piece of paper that's sitting on your desk and just start dumping out all of the things that are going through your brain that you think you have to do, should do, could do, might do, someday maybe do, etc. We're just getting that out of our brains. All right. We are going to start wrapping this up. So just finish writing that last thing, right? That last thing that you were writing. You can always continue this later. Write that down. And then I would love to know from you in the chat, how did that feel? When you're getting all that stuff out of your brain, I know that was a little whirlwind of a thing that we did, but when you're getting that out of your brain, how did that feel? Did it feel good? Did it feel bad? Did it feel scary? Did it feel cathartic? Let me know in the chat how you were feeling when you did that, right? Does anybody, yeah, let me know if there's anything that you want to add there. It feels endless. Yeah, Christine says it feels endless. I make lists like this all the time. The problem is organizing and scheduling and doing the things feels a little overwhelming. It felt good, but also incomplete. Helped me get my thoughts in order. Yeah. So what I'm seeing is actually is a microcosm of what I see whenever we do this exercise. And this is that really two themes are coming out. One of these themes is that, it feels good to get it out because you can then start to organize it. You can start to think about it. So if this is something that I see Meg says it feels freeing, right? Makes me realize why I'm so overwhelmed because there are so many themes, right? It's kind of liberating to see. So there's that. It feels cathartic. It feels freeing. Oh my God, it's not up here anymore. If you felt like you're in that camp, great. You now have a tool you can use any old time you need to feel that freedom feel. You need to feel a little less overwhelmed. You can do a brain dump. If you were feeling on the other side of things, if you're like, this was quite overwhelming to see how many things I actually have to do, maybe I'm a little scared of that. I want you to do it anyways. And here's why. It's the same amount of stuff. It's the same amount of stuff, whether it's in your head or whether it's out of your head. It's just a lot easier to start making plans around, organizing, doing when it's out of your head than when it's in your head. And so even if that felt like a little bit hard for me, I want you to face that fear and I want you to do this because this can become a technique that you can use over and over again to help you to declutter your brain and to start moving forward on those things. It's really hard to prioritize when it's all up here. Now, this is also a strategy you can use in a number of different situations. So of course you can do it like we did it right here today, but you can also do this anytime you feel overwhelmed. Anytime you're sitting there at your computer screen and you're like, I have so much to do. I don't even know where to begin. Just write it down. Write down whatever's going through your head in the moment, because it will be much easier to see, okay, I'm going to do this one first, this one second, this one third, etc. when it's out in front of you than when it's up here. You can also do this at transition points. So a great one of these is at the end of the workday. I don't know about you, but when I am done with work, I don't want to think about work anymore, right? I mean, I work for myself. I love what I do, and I still don't want to think about work anymore at the end of the day. But it's really hard to do that when we're still having all those thoughts up there. So doing a little brain dump right before you end your workday is a nice way to wrap up those thoughts in a bow, put them over here, and get on with the rest of the things that you're doing. They will be there tomorrow when you start work again. It's also something that you can do before bed. And this is like doing a brain dump right before bed there's a number of studies that have proven that this actually helps people get better sleep, fall asleep faster, stay asleep longer, not wake up. And this is because our brain thinks of these things as open loops, right? So if you can write down this stuff before you go to bed, maybe you just keep a pad next to your bed where you're writing down the things, it'll be much easier for your brain to fall asleep. And it'll be much less likely that you will wake up in the middle of the night at 3 a.m. being like, that email that I didn't send that needs to be sent tomorrow, etc. So this is a tool that you can have in your back pocket to use in any number of situations to help you to declutter your brain. When you start to get this stuff out of your head, it's much easier to prioritize because you can actually see what you're working with, right? You can't see it all if it's all up here. It's ping-ponging around. Okay, now let's take a step back for a second, right? Why are you here today? You might be here today for any number of reasons, right? You might have shown up here today because you feel overwhelmed, you feel stressed, you feel like there's so much on your plate, you're being pulled in so many directions, there's so many moving pieces, you're kind of stuck in this reactive mode. You might be here because you feel frustrated that no matter how hard you try, you just can't get it all done. You can't get done as much as you want. You procrastinate. You can't seem to shake that habit, right? That might be a reason you showed up here today. Or you might have showed up because, you know what, you feel a little bit stuck. You are successful. You're a successful person, but you've gotten there by putting in more hours, by working harder. And this may be at the expense of burnout, right? It may be at the expense of your personal life. Maybe you're not spending as much time with family as you wanted to, or maybe your health, right? Maybe you're so stressed and that is causing issues for your health. And you're not sure there's a way out. You feel kind of stuck. I would love to know, which one of these is you. And Ashley, if you could drop that poll here, we can find that out. So go ahead, think about it for a second. Which one of these aligns best with why you showed up today? And of course, all three is totally an answer, right? You might be feeling all of these things at once. Looks like we've got a number of people. We'll wait. About 32 of you have shown us what you're thinking. Let's wait and give everybody a chance to get their voice heard here. We're almost 50%. Let's give it maybe 10 more seconds, see if anybody else wants to share how they're feeling here today. Okay, we've got a few more. Fantastic. We're getting almost to, we've got about 65%. Great. So what we're seeing so far is, well, a lot of you are here for all three, right? And then there's a fair number of people here in each of these zones. And so what that tells me is that we're in the right place here together, right? And what I want you to know is that no matter which of these reasons is you, right? Or all three, or maybe it's something totally different. And feel free to throw that in the chat if that's true. My reason for being here, like the reason that I am holding this class in the first place, and the reason that I do what I do is to support you in achieving your goals, in using your time in a way that feels really good to you so that you don't have to fall into bed every night feeling like, oh, where did the time go? What happened to the day? Didn't get as much done as I wanted. I'm not feeling great about it, etc. My goal is to support you in achieving your goals and using your time in a way that feels good. Now, maybe we have interacted in some way before. Maybe we haven't much. Maybe this is the first time you're hearing of me, but I do want to give you just a little bit of a snippet of me, who I am, why I do this, and why I'm here. But I promise I won't talk about myself for too long. So I spent the first 15 years or so of my career in early stage startups, doing everything that wasn't sales and engineering. But suffice it to say, there was always more work to do than people to do it. People were burning out left and right. And that wasn't something I wanted, right? I wanted to do a really excellent job. I wanted to get promoted. I wanted to do the things, but I did not want to work more than 40 hours a week. I did not want to answer email on the weekends. Like, I wanted to do well without having all of my time go to work. And that's why I started doing what I do now, because I can help other people do the same. I also am the mom of two teenage boys. I can't believe they are teenage boys now, but they are big teenage boys now. And of course, I'm a time management coach, and I am obsessed with producing amazing results for my clients, right? And with having lots and lots of time for myself, my own interests, and my own family. Just when I was in the corporate world, when I was in startups, same thing. I was always obsessed with how do I use my time in such a way that I can have lots of time for all the other things that I enjoy doing outside of my work. And that's what I want for you too. I want you to feel as though these two things are compatible. Now, a little bit about who I serve. So I've worked with hundreds of one-on-one coaching clients. 175,000 people have taken my online courses and programs. And what people say when they've gone through these programs are typically a few things. So transformational comes up a lot. Changed my life comes up a lot. And I feel in control of my time comes up for basically every single person that I work with. So, I get to run this thriving and growing business. I also get to feel confident every day in my own priorities and how I spend my time and what I accomplished. And I have lots of time for myself and my family and my various hobbies. Like, I love to read. I love TV, honestly. I do pottery, and that's something I love to spend a lot of my time with. I have a lot of other interests, and that is why it's really important for me to not only have this time for myself, but also to help others create a life full of time that they want to spend, right? A life where they feel really good about that. And so I want you to think about for yourself for a second. Can you imagine what it would feel like if at the end of every day you went to bed, head hits the pillow, and you're feeling like confident, you're feeling proud of what you accomplished, and here's the kicker, you had enough time for yourself. You not only had time for all the other people and all the things that they need from you and your job and all of that, but you also had enough time for yourself. I want you to just take a moment, close your eyes if you want to, and imagine what that would feel like. Because succeeding at work and having a fulfilling home life without the stress, it is actually attainable. I know it seems impossible, but it is not, I promise you, and that's what we're here to talk about today. This is not about who you are. So many times I work with folks and they say, well, I'm just a disorganized person by nature. I've always been like this. Nothing can ever change. Not true. This is about skills that you can learn. This is about skills that anyone can learn. And I would be happy to teach you right here in this class today and beyond if you want. By learning to know yourself better, implementing strategies that work for actually who you are, not what some person over there said, but who you are, that means that you can learn to take control of your time so that you can feel on top of it all and actually be on top of it all and to have this feeling and reality every day. Now, if you're anything like me, you show up for a class like this, you want to know what we're doing. Like, where are we going? What are we talking about? And so I want to make sure that it's clear to you what we're going to be doing with the rest of this hour. So we are going to be talking about a number of roadblocks for having a cluttered mind. So how do we have a decluttered mind? How do we have a clear mind? The first roadblock is around a lack of a system. So we're going to talk about that and how to resolve it. The second roadblock for decluttering our brains is around distractions. The third big one is around our habits, right? Habits allow us to do things with less effort, right? With less decision fatigue, with less decision making. And so we're going to talk about that as a roadblock to having a decluttered mind. Lastly, at the very end of this class, I will share a little bit about how you can work with me if you decide that that's something that you would like to do. And then finally, of course, we will have some live Q&A. So if you have questions for me, please stay. I want to answer them. I will stay until all of the questions are answered, right? I will make sure that every single question is answered here today. If you have a question and you have it in the middle of what we're doing, just pop it into the chat. I will try to grab it in the moment. But if I don't happen to answer it in the moment, Ashley is going to be compiling those and making sure that I get to every single one by the end of this class here today. So that is where we're going. So let's get into our first roadblock for decluttering our minds, right? And this is that you've got either no system or you've got too many systems, right? Both of these can be problematic. I love this quote from David Allen, who wrote Getting Things Done. And he says, your brain is for having ideas, not for holding them. I love this quote so much because it just feels so true, right? Have you ever been in a situation where, well, I'm at least I'm hoping you have, because I certainly have, where let's just say, I don't know, somebody from your family texts you and they're like, hey, can you get milk today? We're out. This is a real story from my life today, right? Somebody texts you, can you get milk? And you say, yeah, of course, no problem, right? And then what happens, right? You're in the middle of talking to your boss and your brain is going, remember the milk, and you kind of zone out on what they say. And then later, maybe you're typing an email and your brain is going, remember the milk, and you kind of miswrite or you get, dislodged from what you're doing for a second. And then tell me in the comments, do you actually remember the milk? Do you get the milk at the end of the day or not, right? If we are just trying to remember it, I don't know about you, but yes, as Timberly says, no. Dasmond, no, I always forget the milk, right? Chantel, you're better than us sometimes, right? For me, it's like if I'm not using a system, I'm opening that fridge at 10 p.m. and I'm thinking, oh my God, there's no milk for coffee in the morning. Ugh, this is why we need a system. This is why we want to not be storing this stuff up here. It's stressful. Now, the other side of things, right? We might have too many lists, right? You might be sitting there and you might be, if I wrote it on a Post-it, maybe, right? Maybe. You might be sitting there and you're like, I got lists, I got systems, right? But you know what? You've got a paper notepad here and you've got notes on your phone and you've got Asana for work and maybe you have Todoist for home and you have Post-it notes all over the place, right? You've got a lot of systems. And what happens when we have too many lists is that it's also really hard to prioritize, right? Because our brain is just ping-ponging around between all of the things, really difficult. What you can do is to build a single trusted system, right? You want to have one place instead of having to think, wait, where did I leave that note? What notebook is it in, right? We want to have one place where everything goes. And to do this, you can use any platform or app. I'm going to teach you a method for doing this where you can use any platform or app. I'm also going to share with you what my favorite is for your system, as long as it has these 4 fields, right? This is all we need. We need a task name. We need some place to put what is the thing, what is the task, what is the project. We need some sort of area, a description field, something so we can write, what's the next step, right? What is the smallest next thing we can do to move this thing forward? We need a date so that we know when to do this thing. And we need some sort of comment or note field so that we can write down what we did already, right? Have you ever been in a scenario where, I don't know, you're dealing with a medical claim or something like this, and you've had so many different, conversations with different people, and it's hard to keep track of all of the notes? We need a place in our task system to be able to keep track of that so it's all in one place. So just those 4 fields, that's all we need. And then the method that we're going to use to create our single trusted system, to have a system that's not our brain for this stuff, it just is 4 simple steps to effective task management. So the first one is capture. It's the what. What are all the things? And you already got started with that because we started a brain dump. You may also find that you have, I see it looks like English says so many notes and lists, right? You might need to compile all those and get them all in one place. I highly suggest that if you're getting things from a bunch of different places, do it with some best guilty pleasure TV on in the background so that it's less boring, right? We want to get all the things. We got to capture the things. Then we have to prioritize. When are we going to do them, right? I don't really believe in prioritization via like high, medium, low, or P1, P2, P3, because what if everything is high priority? Then what do, right? We want to prioritize based on the when. When are we going to do the next action to move something forward? Then we actually have to do the things, right? I know this seems obvious, but how many of us are fantastic at making a list and not as good at doing the things on the list, right? Doing the things, that's part of the system. And then finally, we have document. And documenting is just a quick note. What did you do? If you are using a task app of any sort, it will likely timestamp all your comments. So you just take 10 seconds to enter in what you did. And that way you don't have to remember that. The next time you sit down to work on the project, you're not going to find yourself going through all of your files and your emails, trying to figure out where you are, where's the document, where you left off, et cetera, because it's all going to be in one place. Now, you heard me mention this statement of next actions, right? What is the next step to move something forward? And this is actually critical to having a task system that works for you. Next actions are totally key. We want to break it down to get it done, right? Because this really helps with procrastination, and it also helps make sure that we can properly estimate how long something is going to take. Estimation is hard, right? We want to know what is the exact next thing, the clearest next step, the smallest next step to move something forward. Because if we don't know, if it's amorphous, if it seems hard, we're going to have resistance. If we don't know what to do, we're going to be like, I'll do something like that later, right? We want to break it down to get it done. And so these next actions are really key. So many people that I work with tell me they have a system, right? They have a task list, they're using it, but most people are missing this next action step. They're missing this knowing what the smallest next step is to move something forward. Let me give you an example of this. Let's say your task list is says get new clients or something like that. That's hard. You might push that down, every day. You're like, tomorrow. But if you're like, go into LinkedIn, download my LinkedIn contacts, sort them by job title, something like that. When you break it down into these small things, that becomes a lot easier to actually move forward on them. It also helps because you are able to take small pieces of time that you have. You might not always have hours at a time, and you can make progress on things in shorter amounts of time. You want to think of your task system like an external hard drive for your brain. Instead of storing it all up here, we want to separate that planning from the doing and use your task system to support your brain instead of having your brain have to remember all of this stuff all of the time. Now, I mentioned to you that you can use any app, right? Any app at all. And you, of course, can. Or you can use paper if you want to, or you can use a spreadsheet, right? You can use anything as long as you can get those 4 fields into it, right? But I do want to share with you my favorite tool. And this tool is called TickTick. And thank you, Ashley, for dropping that link right there so that people can access it if they want to. So TickTick, I have reviewed probably 50 different task apps. I've tested them all out. I'm always looking for something that is streamlined, that's clear, that's easy to use, that's cheap or free, right? All of these things. Ooh, Julia is already a fan of TickTick. Love it. And I love TickTick for so many So many reasons. The first of which is that it is super, super duper easy to use. It is also free. There is a paid version, but many people can exist for years or forever on the free version. It works really well. It's easy to use. It syncs with everything. Like I have a Mac computer and an Android phone and a Google Home and an Alexa and all of these things. It syncs with literally everything. And it has, of course, those 4 fields and more if you want to. But I love that there are some TickTick fans already here. And if you don't have something, you got it, but you're afraid of using it, paid version, oh my gosh, you got to reach out to me and I can help you with some of those fears. No worries about joining late. There will be a replay, Glenn, that will be sent out to you. So you'll be able to access that. Fantastic. So this is my, of course, if you have something you already are loving to use it, right? We want to use the thing that works best for us. But if you don't have something that you're already using, this is by far my favorite because it is so easy to use and it does all the things that we want it to do. Now, I just want to tell you a little bit about, for those who said, maybe I'm afraid of using it, right? Christine said, I'm afraid of using it. I want to tell you about my client, Ariel. And she said, I used to lose sleep thinking about my never ending to-do list, all the things that were slipping through the cracks. And Alexis helped me to reorganize and reorient everything into a single task management system. She was using TickTick. And that was a complete game changer for my focus and productivity. Now I wake up knowing exactly what I need to do every day, and I've been able to carve out time for myself and make actual progress on my long-term goals. Now, she was a VC. Also, she started a side business while we were working together because something that had been on her list forever and she wasn't making any progress on it, once she started to declutter her mind and use a system, she was able to start actually making progress on that. All right. Let's move on to our next big roadblock. And this is distractions. I think we can feel this viscerally, right? We know that when we are getting distracted or interrupted, our brain feels like it's like jolting, right? It's like we're trying to focus on the thing and now we're getting distracted, now we're getting interrupted, and that causes a lot of brain clutter. So we want to talk about how we can reduce some of these distractions. Now, we live in the real world. We're not going to get rid of all distractions. That's very unlikely to happen, but we can reduce them, and doing so will make a big difference. Now, I want to share with you a stat that took my breath away the first time I read it. And this is that every time we are distracted or interrupted, it takes on average 23 minutes, not 23 seconds, 23 minutes to regain focus. So imagine as you're going throughout the day, you're getting distracted, you're getting interrupted, and it's just like poof, 23 minutes, poof, 23 minutes. And this is because it takes us, we do a thing and then it takes us a while to get back to the original thing. And that causes a lot of brain clutter. It also just causes a lot of time hemorrhaging, right? So what can we do about this? Now, most distractions I find, they come from these 3 sources. So the first one is ourselves, right? It's our own brain. We're in the middle of something and we just open up another tab and we do something else. It is also other people, right? So if you are working in an office, maybe it's your coworker who just does not have an inside voice, right? If you are working at home, maybe it's your partner or a roommate or your children or your pets or your cat who likes to walk all over your laptop or whatever that is. And it also could be technology. This is a huge one, right? It's the dings, it's the pings. It is just all of those little technology things that are beeping, notifications, all of that stuff that are pulling us out of what we're trying to do and causing a lot of clutter inside of our brains. Now, I am going to suggest, before I just say, here's exactly what you should do, I think there's a step that we need to take before that. And this is that I want you to track your distractions. The reason I want you to do this is that we are all distracted by different things. We all have different needs. Everyone is an individual. And so if I said, hey, here are the 3 top, distractions, do this, and you're thinking, well, those aren't my 3 distractions, those aren't my top 3, then that wouldn't be very helpful for you. So what I want you to do instead is to think about tracking your own distractions for a day, right? Just keep a notepad next to you. And every time you get distracted, I just want you to write down what it was that distracted you. I think if you did this for a day or even for a few hours, you will very quickly see some patterns, and that will be able to help you to make specific recommendations about which things you can tackle and how. So I'm going to give you an example of this. One of my clients, he was a lawyer working from home. This was like mid-pandemic, and so his kids were both at home. And he was like, "I don't know what's going on. I'm just distracted all day long. I don't really know what's going on. It's probably technology." And I suggested to him that he track it. He came back to me and he was like flabbergasted by what he found. He found that his distractions fell primarily into two categories. It was like two things. Those two things were, one, he was thirsty. He was finding that he would get up from his desk, go to the kitchen to grab a glass of water, and then somehow, he'd see one of his kids or he'd see a mess to clean up, etc. And it would take him 30 minutes to get back to his desk. He was just like hemorrhaging time from this. We could solve this. Once we knew what this is, we can solve this. He just put a big old water bottle on his desk at the beginning of the day. Problem solved. He's now not going to the kitchen to get water every time he is thirsty, right? The other distraction we found was just one of his children, right? Not the other child, just one of his children. And knowing that, we were able to have a conversation, or he was able to have a conversation with that kid to make sure that that kid's needs could be met, but that he wasn't constantly coming in to distract his dad, right? Without tracking, he would not have known that those were his primary distractions, because when he first said it to me, he was like, it's probably just like the notifications, right? So tracking your distractions can help you find solutions for you, for yourself, that might be different, right? Because you are unique, and blanket advice, it just doesn't work, right? You need to apply targeted strategies based on the results of your tracking. And that is what is going to help you to make progress faster in this area. Now, one of my clients, Mike, he was a small business owner. He said, I came away from her program with a completely new relationship to how I approach and organize my daily tasks, personal and professional. She encouraged me to experiment with different workday patterns, teaching me new strategies for deep focus and recognizing and removing those distractions. Like that recognizing and removing part is key. Now, at the end of the course, I have the tools and practices that make my work manageable. All right. Now, what is roadblock number 3, right? This is habits and around habits. So when we are thinking about our habits, right? Habits are something that we do with little to no effort, right? These are, building habits, it's hard, of course, but once the habit is established, then this is something that we are doing without really thinking about it. And so when we have more good practices that are habits, there's less decision fatigue going on in our brains. And this can help us to declutter all of that stuff that is going on if we are not asking ourselves constantly, what is the next thing to do? Our habits, they're just automatic behaviors, right? They're habits that are behaviors that we are doing without thinking. And I want to share with you this habit loop. Now, you'll see in the workbook, if you want to map out one of your habits, you can certainly do that. But I want to share with you how this works, because once we understand how the habit loop works, it is much easier to identify the habits that we want to break and the habits that we want to build, and to make a plan to actually do that. So the habit loop is composed of 3 things. So the first is the trigger. Sometimes this is called the context. And this is, what is the thing that happens right before we do the habit, right before we do the behavior? Then we have the routine, and this is the behavior. When we think about habits, we're probably only thinking about the routine. We're only thinking about this piece, the behavior of the habit. And then we have the reward, right? And the reward is, what is our brain getting when we do this behavior, when we do this habit? Right. And so these 3 things are actually really important, because when we're thinking about what our habits are, we want to be able to kind of change one of these things at a time. It's much easier to do that than it is to just like start a whole new habit from scratch. And so when we think about habits, we want to think, okay, what is the trigger? I'm going to give you an example. Let's say that every morning you have a cup of coffee in the morning, right? So the trigger is you wake up, you're feeling a little groggy, you want that caffeine fix. The routine, you make your coffee and you drink it. The reward, your brain is going, oh yeah, now I'm caffeinated. I have the energy to do the things that I wanted to do. That's the habit loop, right? And so if you want to change a habit, you might want to focus on one of these things, right? You can focus on the trigger. You can focus on the routine, replace that with something else. You can focus on the reward. But these are the components that are going to help us to have successful habits. Now, I have so many different habit strategies that do not rely on willpower or motivation. I really believe in science-backed strategies, because we don't always have access to willpower and motivation. I don't know about you, but my 8 a.m. self is very different from my 8 p.m. self. And the things that I tell myself I'm going to do at 8 a.m. are very different from the things I actually want to do at 8 p.m., right? So when my willpower is low. So there are so many different strategies, but I want to share one of them with you, or really 2 of them with you, because these work for almost everybody. These two strategies that you can use for building habits or breaking habits to help you, declutter your brain so that you're kind of one way focused and not feeling like you're constantly having to make decisions, are these strategies of convenience and inconvenience. So what does this mean? Convenience is we want to reduce friction, make something easier for us to do. That'll make it easier for us to build the habit. Inconvenience, we want to make it harder for us to do a thing. So let me give you a couple of examples here. Let's say you are trying to start exercising, right? How can you make that more convenient for yourself? Can you set out your clothes the night before? Could you, I know for me, I run. And so on the weekends, I put on my running clothes first thing in the morning, because that way, whenever I have like 20, 30 minutes throughout the day, I'm already dressed. I can just shoot out for a run and come right back. I don't have to think about, oh, now I have to get dressed and there's all these things in my way. It's just convenient. I can do it, right? So that's convenience. Inconvenience, on the other hand, is we want to make something harder for us to do. So if you have a habit that you're trying to break, you want to make it a little bit harder. I'll give you an example from a pretty big study of this. So sometimes people say, I want to eat less sweets or something like that. And they did this study, it's a pretty massive study, where they had a candy bowl on people's desks, and then another group had a candy bowl that was 3 feet away from their desk. So it's close enough that they could still reach over and they could grab the candy, but far enough that they had to lean, right? Instead of just put their hand out. What they found is that people ate about 3 times more candy when the bowl was on their desk than when it's 3 feet away. So it doesn't actually take much to make something more inconvenient and to change those habits. When we think about how we can use our environment to help us change our habits for the better, then we don't have to think so hard about these things, right? You don't have to fight with yourself. Should I eat the candy? Should I not eat the candy? You're just not doing it because you've already made that situation convenient. You don't have to fight with yourself. Do I have time to go running now? Should I not? You've made it convenient for yourself. The path of least resistance is to do the thing that you want yourself to do. So when we think about habits, we want to think about them not just from I want to build good habits and break bad habits, but how can we use the strategies of habits to help us to declutter our brain so that we have more room for the other stuff, and we're not spending so much of our time either fighting ourselves or trying hard to, use our willpower, etc. Now, you might be thinking, of course, I gave some examples that have nothing to do with productivity, right? But there are some habits that really do have to do with how we get things done. And a lot of the clients that I work with are facing things like this. So procrastination. In fact, yesterday, this is true. I was talking to a client. We were having a session. She's about 3/4 of the way through her program working with me. And she said, I just want to tell you this. I'm sure this happens for your other clients too. But, I came in here and my biggest issue was procrastination. Like, this is when we first met, she was like, I am a procrastinator. I just procrastinate endlessly. I need to break this habit. I don't know how. And what she told me yesterday was, I just realized I'm not procrastinating at all anymore. The things that I have implemented have solved that problem for me. And she's not even done with the program yet. So procrastination might be a habit. Constantly checking email and Slack. This is a habit that is really hard for a lot of people to break, but it is something that we certainly can work on together if you ever wanted. These are habits that people harbor a lot. Multitasking, right? We tend to think that multitasking, I don't know about you, but I used to have it on my resume that I was a good multitasker. This was before I learned there's no such thing, right? Humans cannot multitask. What we are doing when we try to multitask is we are context switching really, really fast. It makes our brains more cluttered, right? It's harder. It's more stressful. We make more errors. Things actually take longer when we try to multitask than when we single task and do one thing at a time. But yet it persists that, we should be good multitaskers. We should be doing all of these things. And sometimes it takes some trying to figure out, multitasking is not doing what I wanted it to do. In fact, studies show that when we attempt to multitask, we drop our productivity by about 40% when we multitask instead of doing one thing at a time. And another thing that comes up a lot is, we do the easy stuff. We do it first. We try to knock it off the list and we never get to the big stuff, the hard stuff, the stuff we really want to do, those big projects. Or if we do, we're doing them in the middle of the night because we have waited until the last minute. So as you think about ways that you might want to change habits, to use some science-based strategies, you might be thinking about some habits like this. Now, here's the secret, right? I've mentioned science-backed, and it's true. Habit change requires these science-backed strategies, not this reliance on willpower and motivation. When we use science-backed strategies, it helps us to make progress much more easily. And when we have the right habits that we want, these habits that we consider are good habits, it declutters our brain because a habit is an automatic behavior. It is something that you do without thinking about it. And so the ability to build these habits means that you have more brain space, more brain power for all of the other things that you want to do, or just for relaxing, because that is totally key as well. Now, my client Brian, he said, not only did I find working with Alexis an absolute pleasure on a personal level, thank you, Brian, but the results far exceeded all expectations and hopes. She offers methods, tools, and tactics that are easy to understand and implement in very manageable and incremental ways, which translates to fast, meaningful results that can be built upon for even bigger results over time. I highly recommend her for anyone looking to improve time management, productivity, efficiency, focus, and learn how to build positive habits and break negative ones, and do more with less stress. Now, I wanted you to think about for a second and tell me in the comments, like, what is something that you're having trouble making time for, right? What is something where your mind is so cluttered with all the things, you have this thing there, you wanted to do it for a while, or you're like, I wish I had more time to XYZ. What would you do more of if only you could make the time for it, right? Some people tell me, I just haven't read a novel in ages. I used to love to read. Exercise, great, and decluttering my house. Yeah, those are awesome. Some people say, I have this little idea for a hobby or for a side business I've wanted to do, and I just haven't been making it happen. Let me know in the comments, is there something that you are just feeling like you have no time for it because there's too much other stuff in your brain? Ooh, practicing your favorite instrument. What is it, Christine? I want to know. Start scrapbooking again, right? These are things that we used to enjoy when we had more time. Ooh, the flute. I used to play the flute when I was a kid. I was terrible at it, so I'm betting that you are much better than me. But let me know. Think about this, right? Think about what you want. Reading for leisure, learning to cook. Yes, these are great things that we want to do, and we tell ourselves we just don't have the time for them, right? Now, what are some of the things that Maggie's, I'm 80 and I get tired in the PM. Yeah, I understand that. I mean, I am not. I am 43 and I also get tired. So I can only imagine. What are my clients and students made time for when we've worked together? So I think they have needs and wants just like you. Lynn, she said, she wanted time to be present with her kids without the mental nagging to-do list, right? Without all that brain clutter. Ariel, she wanted long-term projects, right? Yonda said, my friends, my family, my health, meditation, workouts. Sarah, she had multiple passions. She not only runs a bookkeeping business, but also she wanted to make time for her sewing and for her music, and she has done both. And then Ingrid, I love that she just said, the things that matter to me most. And so my question for you is, would you like me to help you to offload that mental load and to build habits and to build strategies that really support you in your goals so that you can play your flute more, so that you can start scrapbooking again, so that you can read for pleasure and for leisure? Would you like me to help you with these things so that you can do more and stress less? And Glenn says, I was just about to ask about ADHD and menopause too. Oh my God. Well, I didn't even tell you this. I have ADHD also. So I have ADHD. I am also in the middle of perimenopause. So Glenn, I feel you so much. Yeah. And it's interesting, right? People look at me and they think, oh, well, you must have all this stuff together and have no issues because you're a time management coach. But I definitely have ADHD. And that, I was actually diagnosed pretty late in life. I was diagnosed, just a few years ago, and it explained so much. And it has really helped me to, to understand like how I came into the business that I'm in now, because I needed these strategies to help support me. So thank you for asking about that and for being vulnerable, because that's something that, that I can be vulnerable about too. So when I think about what the options are, right, whenever you're trying to make changes in your life, I think there are two options really. First option is do nothing. Try to implement changes based on kind of random tips you find online, watch some YouTube videos, etc. You can try this, but typically we run a big risk of staying overwhelmed, staying stressed, staying stuck in all the same feels this time next year and the year after. Or option two is that we can commit to changing our life for the better, right? To following a proven roadmap, to take control of our time so that we can really spend our time doing more of what we want to do, right? Doing more of what we want to do. And so when you think about these options, like these are the options, right? It's do nothing or try to implement some random things or follow a proven path, right? That's how I see it. And if you're on the number two camp, if you're like, you know what, it's I've got so much of my life going on, trying to figure out how to do this all myself would be kind of hard or really hard, then I want to invite you to Time Well Spent, my time management program for real people like you and me, people who sometimes have ADHD, people who are maybe going through menopause, people who are just super, super, super busy, right? Got too many things on your plate, all of the different things, right? Time Well Spent is the only program of its kind that starts with the premise that you are unique and shows you exactly how to implement strategies and build sustainable habits that work for who you are already, right? Who you are, not for the perfect person over there, right? But for you, right? For you who has your own needs, has your own individual brain, so that you can be more productive and successful and relaxed, less stressed, and to use your time in a way that feels good every day. And for those in the chat who are, talking about ADHD, I think this is a real big struggle for most of us who have ADHD, right? And in my program, there are always some of us who have ADHD. In fact, a couple of people that have enrolled already, I know have ADHD, and they have shared that actually they heard about me on the ADHD for Smartass Women podcast, and that's how they found about me in the first place, and they have joined the program. So if this is something where you're like, oh, will there be anyone like me? There will be. There will also be people who don't have ADHD, right? There are plenty of people who struggle with this stuff for all sorts of different reasons. Oh, that's how you heard about me. Fantastic. So I want to share a little bit more. So Katie, she was a nephrologist. She worked in the program the last cohort. She said, this absolutely changed my life. Alexis absolutely changed my life. Her program took the shame out of my job and gave me back the confidence and the joy that I had earlier in my career. I'm not drowning anymore. I'm on top of it. I've accomplished every single one of the goals that I wrote down for myself 10 weeks ago. And these were things like I want lower stress. I don't want to work on nights or weekends. I always want to know what I'm doing with my time. So in this program, we are really focused on a number of things. We are going to banish overwhelm for good. No more overwhelm for us. We are going to build that single trusted system so that you have a place outside of your brain where all of that can live and your brain is not it's just full of clutter, right? We're going to learn how to use your time intentionally and proactively. We're going to remove yourself from that reactive emergency scanning modality where you are, good at reacting to things, but not as good at doing the things that you put on your list for yourself. We are going to significantly reduce stress. We are going to be in control of your time, and you are going to be able to be present at home and at work, right? We live in both those places. Now, in this program, I want to show you what you're going to get. So there are 8 modules and there's a lot more to it. So make sure to stay with us here. So first, we're going to dive deep into who you are, right? This is not a program that's just do these things and, it's going to be the same for everybody. We're going to really look at you, your reality, what your circumstances are, what your life looks like, and we're going to figure that out first so that we can find things that work for you. Then we are going to tame those tasks. We are going to build that single trusted system together and make sure that you really, really feel confident in using it. So for the person who said it up there, I can't remember exactly the name, but you've downloaded TickTick, you've paid for it, but you're not using it yet. That is for you. We are going to learn how to plan for success, to plan for reality, right? We are going to plan for the time you have, not the time you wish you had. We're going to learn how to communicate like a pro. Our email clutter, a thing of the past. We are getting to inbox zero. We are going to have a way to stay there that doesn't require spending all your time in email. You are going to conquer your calendar. You're going to make sure that you do an audit, right? An audit in this of your calendar to make sure that you're spending your time in the right places and that you're not in stupid meetings that don't help you at all, right? We're gonna learn how to talk about that and get out of that without feeling like a jerk or being like a jerk and be in the good graces of everybody else still. We are going to really focus on habits. Habit building is so key when we are trying to when we're trying to build a life that really works for us. And so not only are we going to talk about inconvenience and convenience, we are going to dive into a number of different strategies that you can use to help yourself build habits without relying on willpower and motivation. We're going to talk about efficiency. How do we say, hey, I want to be productive in this amount of time, not this amount of time? How do we make that more efficient so that we have more time for all the other things? And then, of course, we are going to focus, focus, focus. We are going to talk not only about how to remove distractions, but also how do we increase focus when we don't have it? Or if we are on the ADHD spectrum, how do we get ourselves out of hyperfocus when we realize that we have not, peed in the last 7 hours because we've been down a rabbit hole, right? We are going to do all of that stuff. Now, that alone is a total value of $3,000, but that is not what you would pay in this program. Now, Brittany, she wrote to me. I swear it looks like I made this up. I swear to you, this is the exact quote in the email she sent me. She said, "You should definitely retitle your course Money Well Spent. This course has been nothing short of life-changing. I'm learning so much, and I believe the sky's the limit for me as I grow in these newly acquired skills." And I immediately emailed Brittany and I said, "Can I please share what you just said with other people?" And she said, "Yes, of course." And so now I'm sharing it with you. So what else do you get in this program? So you get the full Time Well Spent program, a value of $3,000. All of the training modules, videos, audios, PDFs, templates, all of the things that you need to support you in your progress there. I make sure that we have things for different learning modalities. So that's why for every video, there is also an audio, there is a transcript. There are things that you can, if you're a tactile learner, there are things that you can do and use, right? We make sure to include that because we know people's brains look differently and work differently. In addition to the program, you will get 10 weeks of live coaching support from me in the form of Zoom office hours with recording. So if you can't attend all of them, that is okay. You will not miss out. That alone is a value of $5,000. Now, I'm not special, right? I don't have a nanny. I don't have a big staff. I don't have boundless energy, certainly not. I don't have endless resources. I have 24 hours a day, just like you. And as I mentioned, I have ADHD too, which is an extra layer of difficulty. The difference between me and you is just that I have a set of strategies and a framework that works to build these long-term habits and to do more and stress less. That's it. Like, I don't have any special superpowers. I wish I did, but I don't. Now, Laura, she is a graduate of this program as well. And she said, this course is so thorough and easy to follow. I wanted something that would fill the gaps in my knowledge and leave me feeling less scattered. I achieved both. It's very well done. The material is easy to understand. It's achievable. I've already recommended it to friends and family or anyone looking to feel less stressed about their email, their work, their to-do list. This is the course to do. Now, what else do you get, right? You get the full program. You get 10 weeks of live coaching support from me. You also get lifetime access to the course, including any future updates. So this means that as I make this course better, as I add new things to it, as I change things, you are going to continue to get those updates so that you can return to this whenever you need to. Right? This makes sure that I know you have a busy life. Maybe you're not going to get through all of it in 10 weeks. That's okay, right? You will continue to have lifetime access so that you always are up to date on what is there and what is changing. Now, another thing here is I want to make this really easy for you, right? I want to make this a no-brainer. So I have a risk-free guarantee here. If you do the work, if you join the program and you do the work and you show me your results within 45 days of enrolling and you are not satisfied, right? You are not doing more, you are not stressing less, it's just not working for you, I will 100% happily give you a refund. I will give you a refund because I know that if you do the work, you're going to get results. I have never had anyone need a refund because when you do the work, you do get results. And that's why I'm so happy to offer this guarantee because I know that you're not going to need it. If you do the work, you are not going to need it. So what do you get? There's one more bonus here. Not only do you get the program, you get the 10 weeks of live coaching, you get the lifetime access to the course, you get also 3 months of access to a private members only Slack group where you can get on-demand coaching support anytime you need it, right? Anytime you need support, there is going to be not only me in there, but also other people who have been through the program. There is going to be other people who are in the program to help support you to make sure that you have everything you need to get through. And so all of that, the program, the 10 weeks of live coaching support. I see an error in my slide there. That's all right. The course itself, including the future updates and the Slack access, that's a total value of $9,000. But while I think it's 100% worth that, and people who are in my circles have told me I should charge that, if not more, for this program, that is not what it's going to cost you if you join. So I want to make sure that this program is, while incredibly valuable, still accessible. And so you will only pay $19.97 for the entire program, including all of those benefits. Now, if Ashley, if you can just drop the link to let people know where they can go and find out more about it, I'm going to continue to be here, of course, and talk about a few more things. But if you want to check it out and see if it's right for you, you can certainly click that link right now and see how you want to, if you want to enroll. I will also be here answering questions. You can reach out to me at any time about this so that we can see if this is a good fit for you. I only want people in the program who are going to be a good fit. So I want you to ask me all the questions that you might have for me. Now, my client, Michelle, she completed the program and she said, now I don't have panic attacks when I open my email inboxes. I always feel like I have a handle on my numerous work and home projects. And I found some working styles that really help me optimize my time to do better work in less time. Now, remember, I want to mention this again. For those of you who decide that you want to enroll today and you enroll by the end of today, I am giving away this never before seen bonus. I have literally never done this, but you are also going to get a one-on-one coaching session with me. So in addition to everything that we have talked about here today, you will also get a one-on-one coaching session with me, which is a value of nearly $500. So if you decide today that you want to do this, you are going to get that bonus as well, and you'll be able to use that session whenever you want. So make sure that, if you do want to enroll, do it today, because then you will not leave this bonus on the table. Now, of course, you can enroll up to next week. We are enrolling through the 5th, but if you want this bonus, then this is something that you've got to do today. And the reason that I'm saying this is because I want to incentivize action takers, right? I want to make sure that this is something that if you want to do it, you are going to get, you're going to get the most out of it, right? Now, I want to share just some more like little wins from my clients, and I'm seeing a bunch of questions in here too. So before I move on, let me see if I can answer some of these. So, can the program be for couples or families? I've certainly had couples go through the program before. Family, like it depends. Your kids, how old are they? Would they want to do it or not? But certainly, I have definitely had couples do the program before, and they've gotten a lot of success out of that. Sometimes I have business partners who do the program together as well. Let's see. I see. Are you able to help with medical documentation? We have a terrible electronic record program too. I'm a provider. This slows me down and I overthink of it. Also have ADHD here. So I work with a lot of doctors. A lot of the clients that I work with who are doctors, also sometimes therapists, they come in and they have so much in the terms of like client note or patient notes that they need to get in there. This is definitely something that I focus on a lot with those clients. So yeah, that is something that I can work with folks on, to have a system to get through that stuff. And I will say that doctors that I've worked with who have come in with a backlog of patient notes, they are getting to that on a daily basis now and able to really incorporate that into their workday. If I've missed other questions, let me know, but those are the ones I see right now. So I want to share some other little wins from my students, right? So Jill, she just wrote me recently and she said, she was in the last cohort. She said, I just took a vacation and my return from vacation was one of the smoothest and easiest thanks to your program and the templates. I was amazed at how quickly I was able to catch up and was back at inbox zero by the end of the first day back at work. Amazing. Zan, she said, I finally did this set of tests that I have been dreading, right? She beat that procrastination bug. Andy, inbox zero every day. I will still say, Andy, bless his heart, he sends me a photo of his empty inbox almost every day on Instagram. He just sends it to me there to let me know that he is there. I love it. Barb, she said, I put TikTok on my phone and I just started brain dumping all of those to-dos that pop into my head throughout the day. And what a relief. So these are just some of the little things that people have done. Now, if you want to enroll, if you think this might be a good fit for you, I would love to have you in the program. And I want to make it even easier for you to do it. So the program itself, while it's a value of $9,000, it's a payment of either one-time payment of $19.97, or I also offer several different payment plans. So you can get started with as little as $172.79 if you want to get started today. So you have those payment plan options if you're just feeling like you can't do the whole thing in one go, right? We have that for you. Now, as a reminder, what are you going to overcome in this program, right? You're going to overcome that fear that you'll never get it all done. You will overcome that never-ending scramble, that feeling that you are always behind. Maybe you're known as the flaky one or the late one. You will get over that. That feeling of your relationships atrophying from lack of attention, right? You're like, I haven't seen my best friend in 6 months. We don't have time, right? You'll be able to spend time to build those relationships. You will stop having to start every email with, I'm so sorry for the delay. And then you will also overcome that daily overwhelming stress and exhaustion. Now, Jill, she said, I am so glad I signed up for this program. It has revolutionized the way that I do my daily work, and I feel like I have a plan each day. By implementing the skills that I learned from Alexis, I'm 2 months ahead of schedule on 2 major projects. Although it's a group program, Alexis spent time addressing each one of our questions, and we're getting individualized support. I highly recommend this course to anyone who is looking for practical ways to organize not only your professional work, but also your personal life. Now, if you want to enroll, I want to kind of walk you through what this is going to look like. I always like to know what to expect, right? So if you click on that little enroll today, right, you will be taken to this website. You will scroll down and you will click on, enroll, and you will be taken to a page that looks like this. If you want to just go ahead and do it in one lump sum, you can just enter your credit card info and click the button and you will purchase. If you want to do one of the payment plans, then you're going to click where it says Afterpay. Right on the same page, there's an Afterpay option. So there's card, Google Pay, and Afterpay. Just click on Afterpay, and that will take you to all of the payment plan options. Once you proceed with the payment, you will then get taken to a page where you're going to set your password so you have access to the program right away. You'll get taken to a confirmation page. We'll congratulate you on joining, and then we will go check your email. So you will have that login information there, right? It'll be there. It'll be, yep, you're in, you got it, and you'll be able to log in right from there. From there, you'll be able to go straight to the course right away. And you'll be expecting an email from me because I'll be adding you to the live sessions and I'll be adding you to the Slack group. And then you'll see the members area. Once you're in there, all you need to do is click on where it says, welcome to Time Well Spent. And that will tell you exactly what you need to do to get started. We want to make sure that this is really easy, really straightforward, and so you know exactly what to do. Now, again, if you want to enroll, you can do that today in a couple of different ways. So one, you can do one lump sum of $19.97, or you can do a payment plan and you can get started for as low as $173 there. Now, sometimes people ask, can I expense this? Like, will my work pay for it? Sometimes, yeah. A lot of my clients are able to use like professional development dollars or tuition reimbursement dollars, those types of things for something like this. So that could be an option too, but you can go right ahead and click on that enroll today. The 12 payments, Chantal, are monthly, actually. So it would be 12 monthly payments of 173. So you could certainly do that. I want to make sure that, it's accessible. Yeah. All right. Now let's just remember, like, why are we here, right? Thank you, Julia. I'm glad you were here too. And definitely please rewatch. If you're here, right, you might have been one of those people who said, I'm overwhelmed, right? There's too much on my plate, too many moving pieces, too many directions. You might have shown up here today because you're frustrated. You might be frustrated because you just can't seem to get it all done. No matter how much you try, no matter what you try, you've read all the books, and you're procrastinating a lot and you want to shake that. You might be here because you just feel stuck, right? You have achieved success. You've gotten there by putting in a lot of hours, a lot of effort, and now you're kind of on the edge of burnout, right? You're not spending as much time doing the things that you want to do. You're not sure there's a way out, but there is. And if you haven't enrolled yet, you might be having some doubts, right? You might be thinking, yeah, of course I want to do more and stress less. Who doesn't? But maybe you're thinking, I'm too busy right now, right? I'm too busy to do this. I have way too much to do, right? And if you're thinking that, I want to share this little tweet with you, or I don't know what they call it now that it's X, but it says, I love how being an adult is just saying, but after this week, things will slow down a bit again to yourself until you die, right? There is no time like the present, right? It is not going to get less busy. There's not going to be some miraculous period where everything stops and now you have time to focus on, increasing your productivity skills or, making more time for yourself. That's just not going to happen. So now is as good a time as any. But beyond that, this Time Well Spent program, it is designed to help you create time immediately. So in the very first module, we're going to be tackling your distractions. You're going to start taking back your time. Most people lose about 1/3 of the workday to distractions, 1/3 of the workday. So If you are taking care of those distractions right away, if we are tackling those, you are going to have time to do this course and then some right away. Now, you might also be thinking, I can't do this alone, right? I've read books. I didn't implement any of it. I can't do it alone. And we have also accounted for that in this program. So in this program, you are getting those 10 weeks of live coaching support, right? I am going to be your coach. I'm going to be right in there with you, providing accountability, providing support, making sure that you're not in it alone. You're also going to have this members only private Slack group. And that is a place for you to share what's going on, to get troubleshooting help, to get all your questions answered all of the time. So you really have a supportive environment. And then lastly, where there is an accountability buddy guide, accountability buddy, that's hard to say, but there we are. And so most people, or a lot of people in the program, they will use this guide to find an accountability buddy in the session, right? And they will meet up with that person, and that is another way to provide accountability. Deborah, I see your question. What is the schedule of the modules? You said it starts right away. Are the modules weekly? When do the live sessions start? All fantastic questions. So you will have them, like if you enroll right now, you are getting an email right now that is going to give you access to all the modules, and you can get started on them right away. The 10 weeks of coaching support, that starts the week after next. So it starts on the 10th. The first session is going to be on the 10th. Those are on Tuesdays at noon Pacific, and they are all recorded. So you can access them even if you can't join them. I chose noon Pacific because it tends to work well for people in all different time zones. I've had people in Belgium in the course. I have had people in Australia. I have had people on the East Coast, people on the West Coast. And so that's the time that tends to work best for all the different time zones. The modules, you can do them. I don't do that thing where they get dropped out. Like you just have access to all of them right away. So I want you to be able to jump around if you want to. I want you to, if you're like, email is my biggest problem, great, go there first. You can do it at your own pace. However you want. It's really designed so that you can do it on the time that you have. Maybe you only have small snippets of time, and that you can go through it in the way that works for you. So we'll certainly, in all of the live sessions, you can get all your questions answered no matter what module you're on at the time. And you'll see that different people are in different places and they'll have different questions. And that all is really helpful because, you'll learn from somebody who's maybe a little bit farther along than you, and you'll be able to help somebody who's maybe not as far along as you. And it's really nice to have that environment where you don't have to feel like, oh, I didn't do the homework, right? Now I can't be there. No, you can come, right? Great. I love that, Glenn. You might actually be able to make those times. Fantastic. Now, you might also be thinking, right, you're still here and you haven't joined yet. You might be thinking, I can't afford this, right? Even though I've tried to make it accessible, you might be thinking it's hard, right? And I totally get that. I am a really frugal person, right? And especially when I'm making a decision about something that it's going to cost me money, right? I want to make sure I'm making a really good decision, and I want you to make a good decision for yourself as well. And so in that vein, I want to share with you a question that I always ask myself when I'm thinking about investing in something for myself, right? I always ask myself, what is it going to cost me if I don't take action? Because I know what it's going to cost me if I do take action. If I do take action, it's going to cost me $19.97 or one of the payment plans, right? But what is it going to cost if I don't take action? If I don't take action, maybe it's going to cost me continued stress. Maybe I am never going to start playing the flute again, right? Maybe it's going to take a toll on my health. Maybe my kids are going to tell me like, hey, the only thing you like doing is working, or, whatever. There's a lot of costs that aren't necessarily monetary costs when we are thinking about whether we want to do something or not. So I want to share that with you because, of course, I want you to make a good decision for yourself. Actually, I'm going to go back there for a second. I will also say that, if you truly can't afford it, like if you're like this, if I do this, I will not be eating or I will not be able to make rent, then obviously you shouldn't do it, right? Obviously that is not the thing you should do if that's what's that's what the cost is. But if you're like, you know what, I really want to do this, and maybe I have to cut back on takeout for a couple of months, or maybe I have to get a little scrappy and, stop my gym membership for a few months while I, do some workouts in my house on YouTube or something like that. Like you can get scrappy to make something like this happen. So again, we want to be thinking about it from a perspective of what is it going to cost me if I do it? I know. And what also is it going to cost me if I don't take action? What are going to be the long-term costs to me in my life if I don't take action? You might also be thinking, you know what? I already know what I need to do, right? I have read the books. I've watched all the YouTube videos. I have, I've done all the things. I know what I need to do. I'm just not doing it. Why will this be any different? Well, I want to share something with you. What we're talking about here, the kind of, I know what to do, I'm just not doing it. This is the knowing doing gap, right? This is, yeah, we know what it is, but we're not actually making it happen. And so I want to share this framework with you. I find this super useful to think about anytime I'm learning a new skill. And it's called the hierarchy of competence. I kind of hate the language that psychologists use when they put this together, but here we are. So at the bottom, right, in this red zone, we have unconscious incompetence. And that's where we don't know what we don't know. I'm going to use an example of learning how to read because that's something that we've all done. And maybe we have kids and they're doing it now, right? So at the bottom, we have unconscious incompetence. If you're learning how to read, like you don't even know what reading is. You're a baby. You don't know what reading is, not on your radar, right? Then we have jumping up to the yellow zone, we have conscious incompetence. And this is that knowing doing gap, right? This is where like we recognize that we are lacking in some skills and we see value in those skills. We don't know how to do them, right? Right. We don't know how. This is like you're a preschooler, right? You see that your older brother can read, your parents can read, you know what reading is, you don't know how to do it. Then we get into this green zone, and this is like the crux of this knowing doing gap. This is where we understand and we know how to do something, right? Let's just say maybe you're in kindergarten, you're in first grade, you understand that when you see a letter P, it makes a P sound. When you see a letter A, it makes an A sound. And when you see a letter T, it makes a T sound. And that we string those together and it's pat, and then eventually it's pat, right? You get that. You understand it. It's still so hard, right? It's still so hard to do, right? It's hard work to sound out those things. It's practice. You got to practice a lot. This is where we spend a lot of our time together in this knowing doing gap in the program, where we're working on these skills together and we're not letting you give up, right? Because a lot of times we give up when we're in this zone. We're like, it's just not for me. I'm never going to be able to do it. But part of this program, the reason we do it together is that we want to surpass this knowing doing gap, right? We want to jump you up into unconscious competence. And this is where the skill, whatever it is second nature. The skill is second nature. Chantal, you're asking me if there is a way to do other payment plans. Can you drop me your email here and then, or maybe email me? We can work something out. Yeah, if your bank doesn't support Afterpay anymore, this is something you want to do, I want to make it happen for you. So please just email me right now and I will make sure to get back to you and we'll work something out. Thank you, Ashley, for putting my email right there for you, Chantal. So, and if you want to, or Chantal, if you want to drop me your email too, I can also follow up with you afterwards. But yes, we definitely can work something out. All right, let's see. And so that unconscious competence, right? That's where you and I are with reading right now. We are reading this page. Sounds good, Chantal. We are really not thinking about it, right? We're just reading it. It's happening. We've already jumped up there. And so if you're thinking, I know what to do, I just don't know how to do it, or I'm not doing it, this is a program that's going to help you with that. So again, these options for you, you can enroll today. If you enroll today, you are going to get that extra bonus of one coaching session with me, a private coaching session with me, which I've never done before. Afterpay. So Afterpay is just it's a payment plan service. If you click on the link and you go through it, it should take it through. I don't know if your bank has to use it, but same thing for you, Glenn. If it's not working for you, then just email me and we can work something else out. We can figure out a different way to do it. I want to make sure that that if you want to enroll and this is the right step for you, that we can figure out a way for you to do it. So please just email me if Afterpay is not working for you for the payment plans. All right. Okay. Let's see. So really that's it, right? I want to answer your questions. Have I missed anything? Ashley, can you let me know if I've missed any questions in here? If you want to enroll, of course, click on that link. I am here to answer all of your questions, whether it's about the program or just about anything we talked about here today. Please let me know. Also, Ashley just put up another link right here that can be really helpful. So if you're like, I'm still kind of on the fence, I don't know if it's right for me or not, and you want to schedule like 15 minutes with me to just talk one-on-one and see if this is something that you want to do and if it's right for you, please feel free to schedule that. I'll be more than happy to talk to you one-on-one to just tell you, you tell me what's going on with you, and I will help you figure out if this is the right fit for you or not. I want to make sure, again, as I said, that everyone who's in the program, it's a right fit for them. It's not helpful to me or to you if you're not a right fit for the program and you're in it. So if you'd like to schedule that with me, please do that. All right, I'm seeing a question. Maggie asked, okay, I'm retired, ADHD and AD. There are certain topics that are really tempting. I need to establish routines, habits, focus, email organization, but I don't need the others. Can we talk? Yes, of course we can, Maggie. I think a great thing for you to do would be if you want to click that the button that Ashley's just put there to schedule a 15-minute call with me, then we can just jump on together and we can talk about what this would look like for you, or if there are other options for you. So I'd be more than happy to do that. Yeah. Is there anything else I missed, Ashley? Are there any other questions folks have? All right. Are there any, if you're on the fence and I didn't tackle any of your doubts here, if you're still on the fence, you're not sure, can you let me know in the chat, like why are you on the fence? I want to be able to answer that for you. And I'll give you my honest answer of whether I think you are, a good fit for the program or whether it's maybe not the right thing for you, to the best of my ability. So if you are still here with us today and you are like, yeah, I'm just not sure yet, let me know why you're not sure. Because I would love to be able to provide any information that I can that would help you decide if this is the right thing for you. So please drop it in the chat if you're like, you know what, I am not sure, but you haven't answered my question yet. Make sure that you drop that question into the chat so I can answer you. Or if you don't want to drop it into the chat, if you would rather talk to me live one-on-one, just click on that schedule a 15-minute call with me and we will make sure that you get all of your questions answered. All right. Let's see. Oh, you broke your foot, Christine. I'm so sorry. And you have to pay 2/3 for workers' comp. I get it. I totally do. I understand that. You can certainly stick around and ask me any questions that you have here right now. And I'm sorry, I've broken my foot twice. And so I feel you there. And I understand that. And so if that's something you need to wait on due to finances, I get that too, right? We are living real lives and I get it. If there are payment plans that would work for you, that's something you could consider. And if that just doesn't work, then I understand, right? I want what's right for you. Does anybody else? I want to let y'all go if you don't have anything else to ask me, but another question. Okay. How often does this open for enrollment in case now's not a good time? So usually twice a year is when I offer it for enrollment, but I never kind of guarantee that I'm going to offer it at a specific time again, but usually I offer it twice a year. What I would say is if it feels like, if this is not a good time, like what's going to be different next time, right? What's going to be different in 6 months or in 4 months? Because as I mentioned, like it's just like there's never a good time to have a baby. There's never a good time to quit your job. There's never a good time for a lot of things. And so you just might consider, whether it will be a good time later too. And so if this is something you want to do for yourself, I would encourage you to invest in yourself. In whatever works for you. Thinking not a good time in terms of finances. Okay, got it. So yeah, in terms of finances, like that is something there, finances might change. It's also something where if this is something you really think would help you, would make a big difference in your life, you might take a look at your finances and say, do I have wiggle room anywhere? Is there anywhere where I have some expense that I could reduce for a short amount of time? Or maybe you want to do the payment plan, right? Is this something that you could reduce for some amount of time so that you would have room for something else? So of course, I don't know your budget. I don't know what's going on with you. That's just how I tend to think about things when I'm doing it for myself. Been investing in a lot of things. I love that, right? I love that you're investing in yourself. I think that, there are far worse ways to spend your money than to invest in change for yourself, right? And so if you're someone who's just been thinking for a long time, man, I would really like to live time on my own, on my own values, my own goals, then this is something that I think could really help. And of course, I want to chat with you if you have, if you are not sure it's for you, then please make sure to join that link and you can schedule some time with me. All right. Any other questions for today? You know, there are still a few people in the room. So if anyone has another question for me, please let me know. Oh, I'm scrolling down. Thank you, Timberly. I really appreciate you being here. And Glenn, I totally understand. It does add up fast. Thank you so much to everyone. If you have any questions that, this is kind of last call for questions right now. Deborah, you'll send me an email. Thank you. If there's any last questions right now, please pop them in the chat. I will be here to answer them. And if there is, if you're like, I don't know one right now, but maybe you think about it tomorrow, great. Drop me a line then. I will be more than happy to answer your questions. All right. Thank you, everyone. And thank you, Ashley, so much for moderating the chat. I really appreciate your help here. Thank you so much to everyone who is here today. You definitely think your husband should see it? Yes, you will get a replay of this. So send it on to your husband when that replay email shows up in your inbox. Feel free to share this with your husband. I hope you can get something out of it too. All right. Well, thank you so much, everyone. I really appreciate all of you being here. I hope you learned a lot. Whether we work together or whether we don't work together, you got some strategies today, and you'll be able to implement those strategies in your life. I know that. And so, if you want help with these things, please reach out to me. I would love to have you in the program. Thank you so much. And I hope we get a chance to chat again sometime. And I hope you see you in the program if this is something that you would like to do for yourself. All right. Take care, everyone. Thank you so much.